Yeah, I honestly think that there are a lot of things that they'll look at before the squad. I mean, look, they have to try and correct the playing side of things as quickly as possible, but there are some gaping holes in the club. Number one, there isn't a CEO. Number two, there isn't a sporting director. Number three, there isn't a capable head of recruitment. So they're the top three jobs in a football club outside of the manager. They're the most important three jobs in a football club. And then you've got the manager making the fourth, meaning that quartet is very, very strong and tight. If that quartet are very successful, then the team on the pitch will likely be successful in terms of sort of if they're good. So the first thing that will be sorted will be people, because there is a lack of those major roles in Manchester United actually in existence at this moment in time. Once you put those sort of things in place, you've then got an opportunity to fix the things that are happening below it if the people are right up here. And then it comes into the playing side and the coaching and the other sides of things, and then the academy and the women's team, all the other things. That flows from there. But to start with, people is absolutely critical. And Manchester United, I mean, if you're new owners and you're putting in billions of pounds, which is what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's doing, he's going to want to look at the people who are his biggest exposure. And the biggest exposure in a football club is recruitment of players. And the other one is that you want to drive revenue. So your CEO is critical and your sporting director is critical to cost and revenue. And they need to be sorted immediately. If those two things are fixed, Manchester United's revenues are pretty good, but they want to obviously maintain them. They don't want them to drop. They want to try and explore new avenues of revenue as well. But then you've got to get onto the sporting side where you think about head of recruitment and manager and sporting director and that CEO making it up from a financial perspective. So to me, it's really important that, ultimately that bit is really important to get that right. And then you can start to think about place. You can start to think about stadium, you can start to think about training facilities, all the other things. I actually think once you've got that people in place, management and the sort of plan around the stadium sorted, I do think the football side starts to take care of itself because the foundations are good and the principles are good. If you've got an amazing Old Trafford with fantastic people at the top of the club creating a great culture, you've got a good chance of success coming down the line. And Manchester United fans are very patient. I grew up in the sort of late 70s and early 80s and right the way through the 80s, not seeing Manchester United win a Premier League title. And it didn't impact my childhood. It wasn't exactly fantastic watching Liverpool win it nearly every other year, but we got through it and the cycle changes. It turns. What you see is that something's happening, something's right. And it's really important, that Old Trafford part. Really important that you have pride in where you play and that it's a great stadium. And it's important, obviously, that the people at the top are the right people. Manchester United have had the wrong people for many, many years, and they haven't even had a sporting director. So, yeah, there's some simple things to look at before you even get to the playing side. Starting with Manchester United's right back or right winger or left winger. Yeah, if there's some easy wins, maybe you can look at that. But I think to start with, that first 6 months, I think it's people and place, and that's management, and it's Old Trafford. And I've heard there's only a couple of £100 million or so to spend on Old Trafford. That's nowhere near enough. But maybe what Liverpool have done is the right way forward. If there is shortage of funds, where you get maybe one or two stands look absolutely world class, and then the other two follow it sort of at different periods in the next 5-10 years, that would be a plan. Because I'd rather have 200 million spent on the old stadium, it looking still not up to. I'd rather have two stands or two parts of Old Trafford that look absolutely amazing. So it'll be interesting to see what the plans are for the stadium. But Sir Jim Ratcliffe's been a very successful businessman. He's not going to come in. He's not going to watch that today and sort of look at it and think there's not a lot to do. He's going to look at that and think, I can't wait to get my hands on it. And, Dave Brailsford's in the stand there, obviously from a different background, but he's been in football now in the last year or two.
How do you think that will work? Because obviously he's been very successful in his own sphere, but being successful in one sporting sphere, does that necessarily transfer to another?
No, but I always say this: you can't kid a football fan. So forget Dave Brailsford, who understands poor body language, poor culture, poor recruitment, a bad performance. There were how many people in this stadium? 30-odd thousand people who, to be fair, recognised that Manchester United stunk this place out. So from Dave Brailsford's point of view, his job will be I suspect, or it will be, to go and identify the best-in-class CEO, sporting director, head of recruitment. That's it. And then everything else should flow down from there. He's not going to basically be picking the team, Dave Brailsford. He's not going to be the person who's going to sort of go and look at the players that are playing in different parts of the world. He's not even going to be the CEO, but I suspect he's going to be overseeing what would be best-in-class appointments and recruitment of the top management in the club. And that's really, really important. Every other top club around the world, they're really sharp in these spaces. So that's what he will do, and he'll look at this today. That is a result of what's happened off the pitch. what you see on the pitch is what you see happens off the pitch, and that's at any football club.